Welcome back, historians. How did the Greeks influence Roman culture? Daily life. Rome was one of the largest and most carefully planned cities in the ancient world. More than 1 million people lived in Rome by about AD 1. It had a public square called the Forum. Romans shopped, conducted business, played games, and visited with friends in this area. Wealthy people lived in big houses built around courtyards. Most Romans were poor and did unskilled labor. They lived in apartment buildings. Those neighborhoods were crowded, noisy, and dirty. Politicians offered free food and entertainment to gain the support of the poor. People watched chariot races. They also watched gladiators fight. Gladiators fought each other or even wild animals to entertain the crowds. Roman families were large. Fathers had control over their families. They could even sell their children into slavery. Children of wealthy families received an education. Sons went to school to learn reading, writing, math, and rhetoric, or public speaking. Children of poor families could not afford to go to school. Poor people learned just enough reading, writing, and math to help them conduct business. Wives of wealthy, powerful men had more freedom than those with less money. They could own land. They could hire enslaved people to do their housework, so they had free time to study art and literature, and go out for entertainment. Women with little money generally worked in the family business and took care of their households. The use of enslaved persons in Rome became more common as the empire grew larger. Most enslaved people were prisoners of war. They worked in homes and on farms. They also helped build roads, bridges, and buildings. Romans believed that gods and spirits controlled all parts of life. Greek gods and goddesses were popular in Rome, but the Romans gave them new names. The Roman Senate declared that the emperors were gods. The Romans worshipped their gods by praying and offering food to them. Romans borrowed ideas such as Stoicism from the Greeks and changed them to fit their culture. For Greeks, Stoicism meant finding happiness through reason. For the Romans, it meant living in a practical way. Roman Stoics urged people to do their civic duty and participate in government. These ideas are still important to us today. Science and art. The Romans used many features of Greek writing, art, and architecture, but changed them to fit Roman style. Like the Greeks, Roman artists created statues. Greek statues showed perfect and beautiful people. Roman statues, on the other hand, showed people that looked more realistic. Some Roman writers based their work on Greek models. The Roman poet Virgil borrowed some of the ideas for his poem The Aeneid from the Greek poem called the Odyssey. The poet Horace based his satires and odes on Greek works. Satires poke fun at human weakness, like comedians do today. Odes are poems that express strong emotions about life. Other Romans wrote plays. Unlike the Greeks, however, Romans wrote comedies about their gods as well as plays that honored them. Romans added new ideas to architecture. Architecture is the art of making structures, such as buildings. Romans built with concrete. They added arches. By putting many arches together, they could form a vault, or curved ceiling. Curved ceilings created beautiful domes. Using domes, the Romans were able to build large, open rooms. Romans also learned science from the Greeks. They studied the work of a Greek doctor named Galen. Galen studied anatomy to learn about the body's structure. Roman engineers built practical things such as bridges, buildings, and roads. Roads connected the city of Rome to every part of the empire. This allowed soldiers to travel quickly. Traders used the roads so trade grew. The Romans also built aqueducts that carried fresh water into the cities. The Romans influenced future generations. Concrete and other elements of Roman architecture are still used today. Until about AD 1500, Latin, the language of the Romans, was the official language of European government, trade, and learning. Latin is the basis of many modern languages, such as Italian, French, and Spanish. A troubled empire. The peace of the Pax Romana was followed by a century of confusion and violence. Roman government grew weak while the army grew strong and independent. The legions of the army fought each other to put new emperors on the throne. Rome had 22 emperors in a period of 50 years. This period of civil war caused great suffering, including food shortages, high prices, decreased support for education, unpaid taxes. The government tried to fix the economy by making more new coins. These new coins had less value, so it cost more to buy goods. This is called inflation. Inflation happens when prices go up and money is worth less. People began to barter. Instead of using money, they traded one product or service for another. As Rome struggled, Germanic tribes began to attack the empire. The Romans built walls around their cities for protection. The Roman government hired Germanic soldiers for the army, but these soldiers had no loyalty to Rome. In AD 284, a general named Diocletian became emperor. He tried to strengthen the empire by making many reforms, or changes to make things better. He built forts along the borders. He set prices for goods and wages. This was to keep prices from rising even more. People paid no attention to his rules. Diocletian was not strong enough to enforce them, so his reforms did not work. The fall of Rome. The next emperor was Constantine. He tried to make Diocletian's reforms work so the empire would grow strong again. Constantine made the military stronger. Nothing seemed to help Rome improve. In AD 330, he moved the capital from Rome to Byzantium in the east. Then he changed the name of the new capital to Constantinople. That name lasted many years. Today the city is known as Istanbul in present-day Turkey. Constantine's reforms helped the empire, but not enough. After Constantine died, Theodosius took power. He realized that the empire had grown too big to rule. When Theodosius died, he left a will that instructed the Romans to divide the empire into eastern and western parts. When the Romans divided the empire, they also divided the army. The western half of the empire was now too weak to stop invaders. In the AD 300s and AD 400s, many Germanic tribes took over Roman land. Some wanted better land for raising crops and farm animals. Many were running away from the Huns, a fierce group of warriors. A tribe called the Visigoths asked Rome for protection. The Romans let the Visigoths live just inside the empire's border. Later, the Romans treated the Visigoths badly, so the tribe fought back. The Visigoths captured Rome in AD 410. Then, another Germanic tribe, the Vandals, invaded the Western Roman Empire. They burned buildings and took valuable things. The Germanic people now had entered every part of Roman society. Many held high government positions. The last Western Roman emperor was a 14-year-old boy named Romulus Augustulus. He did not have strong power or support. In AD 476, a Germanic general named Odoacer overthrew the emperor. He took control of Rome. No Roman emperor ever again ruled from Rome. This is considered the end of the Western Roman Empire. Rome's legacies. Roman ideas still influence our lives in the United States today. We read Roman literature. Modern buildings use Roman arches, domes, and concrete. We share Roman ideas about justice and the law. Like the Romans, we believe that everyone is equal under the law and that a person is considered innocent until proven guilty. We also require judges to decide court cases fairly. Our government, too, is similar to the Roman Republic. In a republic, citizens elect their leaders. As in Rome, our republic works best when citizens get involved. The Romans also influenced how we speak. The Italian, French, Spanish, Portuguese, and Romanian languages come from Latin. Many English words have Latin roots. We use the Latin alphabet. Doctors, lawyers, and scientists use Latin phrases in their work. All plant and animal species have Latin names. Some of our architecture and construction comes from the Romans. Government buildings and state capitals often use domes and arches. Concrete, developed by the Romans, is an important building material today. One of the world's major religions, Christianity, began in the Roman Empire. It spread with the help of the Roman road system. When Roman emperors adopted Christianity in the AD 300s, they also helped spread the new religion. The New Rome. The Eastern Roman Empire became known as the Byzantine Empire. It was at its most powerful in the AD 500s. The empire stretched east to Arabia, south to Egypt, and west to Italy. Constantinople was the capital of the empire. The location of the city gave it special advantages. The city sat on a peninsula between the Black Sea and the Aegean Sea. It was surrounded on three sides by water. This made the city easy to defend. Because the city sat between Europe and Asia, it became a crossroads for trade. Merchants from far away did business there and trade grew. Constantinople became the wealthiest part of the Roman Empire. People called Constantinople the New Rome. Many wealthy Romans moved there. The city had many Roman-style buildings, including an outdoor arena for sporting events. It was called the Hippodrome. Like Rome, officials gave free food and entertainment to the poor. People from many lands settled in the Byzantine Empire. Their different customs blended together to form a new culture. Over time, the empire became less Roman and more Greek. Most Byzantines spoke Greek, so officials and emperors learned to speak Greek too. Between AD 500 and AD 1200, the Byzantines developed one of the most advanced civilizations in the world. Justinian's rule. Emperor Justinian ruled the Byzantine Empire when it was at its most powerful. He was a skilled general and a strong leader. He controlled the military and made the laws. Justinian was married to Empress Theodora. She helped Justinian rule the empire. Theodora helped her husband choose government officials. She helped women gain more legal rights. She urged Justinian to grant women the right to own land. This reform helped widowed women earn money to take care of their children. When angry taxpayers rebelled in AD 532, Empress Theodora's wisdom helped stop the crisis. The people threatened the government. Justinian's advisors told him he should leave the city to be safe. Theodora told him he would not like his life if he ran away. She said he should stay and fight to protect the empire. He took her advice and stayed. Justinian's army stopped the riot and brought order back to the capital. This victory made him a more powerful ruler. One of the most important things Justinian did was in the area of law. He ordered a group of scholars to organize the laws and make them simpler and better. The new laws were easier for people to understand and follow. The Justinian Code is still the basis of legal systems in many countries today. Many Byzantine emperors ordered workers to build forts, government buildings, and churches all over the empire. The emperors supported the work of artists and architects. Justinian ordered the building of a church called the Hagia Sophia. The Hagia Sophia has gold and silver decoration inside. It is also decorated with mosaics, pictures or patterns made from small pieces of colored glass or stone. This church became the religious center of the empire. It still stands today as a museum. The Byzantines also became famous for their mosaics. This Byzantine art usually showed figures of saints. Saints are Christian holy people. Justinian knew the empire had once been much larger. He wanted his army to be strong so they could take back the lands that had once been part of the empire. He wanted his army to protect the borders of the empire. A general named Belisarius reorganized the Byzantine army and made it stronger. He created cavalry, groups of soldiers on horses. The cavalry wore armor and carried bows and long spears. Justinian's army fought in Italy, Spain, and northern Africa. It conquered the invaders who had taken lands from the Western Roman Empire. The army also defeated the Persians. It was able to secure the eastern border again. However, these conquests did not last long. A deadly disease, known as Justinian's Plague, moved through Asia and Europe. It killed millions of people, including Roman soldiers. There were not enough soldiers to protect the large empire. There also was not enough money to pay them. After Justinian died, the empire again lost control over most of the western lands.